If you're a fan of the channel, we talk about Hollywood a lot. How often do we talk about Hollywood? Maybe a little bit too much. It's the land of dreams, $1 million CGI screens, and apparently zero ethical concern when it comes to what to do with human remains. Do you ever watch old horror movies and go, whoa, those skeletons look really real? Well, congratulations, because your instincts were right. Chances are that wasn't plastic. It was a real human at some stage. They could be someone's granddad. They could be someone's auntie. They could be someone who just didn't really have their paperwork sussed before they passed on. Definitely get life insurance. I don't think I can stress this enough. Today we are going over the stolen skeletons of Hollywood.
The past is sacred. I found more than I expected.
Let's start with the most infamous example. Every BuzzFeed article has this. It's appeared in several Watch Mojo videos. And to be honest with you, if you've seen the movie, you probably already kind of assumed that they were real in the first place. Poltergeist from 1982, the infamous swimming pool scene where JoBeth Williams is thrashing around in muddy water, surrounded by skeletons that were just popping up like they'd RSVP'd to the pool party. Yeah, how's it going? Yeah, good, mate. Just here for a swim. Unfortunately for JoBeth, those were not Halloween props. Those were real people. Or at least they were at one stage. Yeah, at one stage they were. Not now, but they were. But why, you ask? Why would they use real skeletons when you can just buy cheap plastic ones? Turns out, in the 80s and even beforehand, plastic skeletons were actually really expensive. But if you ignored some laws, you could bring in real ones on the cheap. Hollywood took one look at the budget after ordering one fake skeleton and immediately called their accountant. Yeah, hi, we are spending way too much on plastic skeletons. Can you go out and see how cheap you can get real ones? Yes, I'm serious. Do you want to work in Hollywood or not? That's what I thought. All right. I love you too, Mum. God. Where did they get the skeletons, though, is probably the next question on your brain. If you'd guessed India, you'd be correct, because the mythical land of India didn't really have many laws surrounding body snatching at all until recently. India was shipping out cadavers to Hollywood like bootleg DVDs. And because nobody bothered to tell the actors about this, JoBeth Williams actually found this out after spending hours face to face with what she believed was a fake skeleton and turned out to be just someone's granddad, just bobbing away in the pool. Oh, man. She was understandably horrified. The producers, on the other hand, didn't give a shit. And if you've watched my videos in the past, you'll know that it's because it's Hollywood, baby.
It's Hollywood, baby.
Out of all the research I've done, I don't think anything encapsulates how much Hollywood doesn't give a shit about the people that work in it, more than the time that a human corpse was mistaken for a Halloween prop. This human corpse ended up being on the set of The $6 Million Man. Meet Elmer McCurdy. Born in 1880, raised on scandal, baptized in moonshine, he was a plumber, a miner, a soldier, and then because the early 1900s were just built different, a train-robbing outlaw. Unfortunately, Elmer wasn't very good at crime. There were a few instances that were caught on record. He apparently tried to blow up a safe with dynamite and melted the silver that he was trying to get out of the safe. So, another time he robbed a passenger train. Is this true? Another time he robbed a passenger train thinking he was going to get thousands of dollars, and all he managed to scrape up was $46 and a little bit of whiskey. So yeah, the criminal equivalent of a wet fart. In 1911, Elmer got into a shootout with some Oklahoma sheriffs and died with 5 bullets inside him. And you think that story would be Hollywood enough to end there, right? No. No one came to claim the body, so the undertaker at the funeral home did what any good capitalist would. He embalmed it in arsenic. You know, the stuff that preserves wood and kills rats. He propped Elmer up in the corner as a showpiece and had a little sign in front of him that said, "Come and meet the bandit who wouldn't give up." People paid to see Elmer. Kids poked him with sticks. In Oklahoma, he was the centerpiece of their Madame Tussauds, except he was a real person. And then the story continues when 2 carnival men turn up claiming to be Elmer's long-lost siblings and quickly take him away for a quote-unquote proper burial. They were not related to Elmer at all, and they took his body on tour with the circus. For decades, McCurdy was passed around like cursed antique furniture, from carnivals to freak shows to wax museums, and then finally to a haunted house. He was painted, touched up, and lost some fingers. He allegedly appeared in the 1933 exploitation film Narcotic. Elmer McCurdy's embalmed corpse made a brief, eerie cameo, though no one knew at the time. Passed off as a hyper-realistic dummy, his mummified body appears in the background of a sideshow scene meant to scare audiences about the dangers of addiction. Ooh, Ooh, a cowboy. Better not smoke weed. The filmmakers, however, had unknowingly used a real human corpse as set dressing, adding a very grim authenticity to the already surrealist tone of this film. McCurdy's appearance in Narcotic is one of Hollywood's first instances of using real-life skeletons in movies, cementing his second and, some would argue, more successful career as a morbid cinema prop. So his IMDb looks better than mine already. That's chill. I'm not salty. Like, I was having a hard time. But by the 1960s, no one even remembered he was a real person. They thought he was just a realistic dummy with an alcohol problem, and he bounced from carnivals to sideshows with no fixed address. Then in 1976, a crew was filming an episode of The $6 Million Man in Long Beach, California. The episode they were filming was set in an eerie abandoned funhouse, and when one of the crew members moved what they thought was a glow-in-the-dark prop, the arm fell off. Normally, mannequins in the 70s, if an arm falls off, you'd look down and see styrofoam, but no, human bone. Yuck! Just rewinding a second there, someone also painted him with glow-in-the-dark paint. So, I mean, this dude's been through a lot. He's gone from criminal to movie prop to traffic cone, and now he's falling apart at the seams. The LA coroner's office managed to figure this out pretty quickly. They matched scars, bullet wounds, and forensic evidence to figure out that the mannequin that pulled off the set of The $6 Million Man was Elmer gosh darn McCurdy in the beef jerky looking flesh. In 1977, 66 years after his death, Elmer was finally laid to rest in Oklahoma with 2 feet of concrete poured over the top of his grave so no one could dig him up for round 2. Because Hollywood may recycle everything, but they just don't like admitting to it. This corpse had done enough, made enough people enough money, and he was laid to rest. Just morbid as really, isn't it? Now, if there was any film that you were expecting to have real bones in it, it would more than likely be 1974's Texas Chainsaw Massacre. The film was already a fever dream of chainsaws, screaming, and aggressively sweaty actors, but what really sealed the deal was the set design. Because instead of building creepy bone furniture, the filmmakers they found it. Like Facebook Marketplace. No, I don't want to buy your rolling body Honda Civic. Jeez. Mom! Allegedly, some of these bones that made up the furniture came from actual graves. And the others, again, sourced from India. Because who knew the world's biggest human prop shop was a bunch of just shady dealers over there in India. The film's director, Toby Cooper, absolutely vehemently swore that these were real skeletons in the movie, but he could have also been doing this for shock factor. Then again, we also know that real ones are a lot cheaper than plastic ones, and this was 1974, so gross. Nah, man, I swear that was a real person at some stage. I would never use plastic. I am environmentally conscious. You've got to love Hollywood logic here. They will spend $10,000 to $100,000 making an animatronic head that blinks, but a plastic skeleton for like $25, completely off the table. All right, let's take a break from the movies and move to a less cinematic nightmare. We're going to Disneyland, specifically the Pirates of the Caribbean ride. Because when Disneyland first built this thing in the 1970s, they took one look at their fake skeletons and said, these don't look real enough, so naturally they went out and got real ones. Allegedly, the bones were donated from a medical facility, because nothing says family fun by using some poor soul's skull and femurs as pirate decor. Arr. Over the years, Disneyland has claimed to have replaced the real skeletons with fake ones, but there are rumors that the real ones are still hanging up somewhere. So if you wanted to spend the equivalent of a second mortgage to go to Disneyland and wait 5 business days to get on the Pirates of the Caribbean ride, then take a closer look and maybe, just maybe, Captain Jack Sparrow might give you a wave back. He might not be the only thing on this ride that's witnessed some real history, because you're subscribed, right? To the BB Malloy channel. You're subscribed. Right? I don't imagine there were real pirates at any stage, any of the skeletons that were being used. Dude was probably an accountant, but still, like, post-death, just being a pirate, that'd rip, man. Shiver me timbers. At this point, you're wondering, okay, well, this has stopped now, right? Because, yeah, of course. But no, in all seriousness, the Indian government finally cracked down on grave robbing in the last 10 to 15 years because those skeletons weren't exactly donated or purchased legally, right? But that's, Hollywood again. And once that supply chain dried up, obviously Hollywood had to start making plastic ones and just shelling out that extra $25 per skeleton. But the damage was done, and over the decades, people have dedicated part of their lives to trying to figure out how many real skeletons were used in horror movies and biopics and ancient black and white films, and just how many film sets were haunted by some poor Indian dude's skeletal remains. So what have we learned today? Obviously, as with most of my videos, Hollywood loves cutting corners. They don't really give a shit about workplace health and safety. Real skeletons are weirdly affordable, something else I learned. And one unlucky dude on the set of The $6 Million Man found out the hard way that not all mannequins are actually mannequins. If there is a moral to the story, it's probably this. If you're ever cast in a horror movie and you have to do a scene with a skeleton, maybe ask a couple of questions, because you might not be acting with a prop. You might be acting with someone who is making their Hollywood debut directly after they die. Ladies and gentlemen, new videos every fortnight. Like and subscribe, Dirty. Thank you so much for all the recent views on these videos. I am grateful all the time when you guys reach out saying how much you love the content. I'm also on TikTok and Instagram and Facebook and wherever else, man. It's BB Malloy worldwide. Peace and have a good day.
The past is sacred. I found more than I expected.